So you were actually in the process of surveilling King when the Penn murder case.
Yeah.
How soon after you got into the Atlanta office did the SCLC become the focus of some of your investigative work? Were they already? Were they already?
At that time, I think we were working under executive orders out of the Department of Justice. I don't think the legislation, such as the Smith Act, had really gone into effect at that time. We were pretty much on the executive order. Executive Order 10450.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was. That these surveillance things and this work should be done directed towards establishing communist activities. And we were interested, the country was interested then in communist activities because the Communist Manifesto required a violent overthrow of the American government in particular. Therefore, we had jurisdiction. It was if they were designed to overthrow our country, then they were our target.
It sounds like there was language spelled out for what your
some
job,
parameters, yeah.
For your parameters. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah. So you knew under what authority you were working and what your goal was.
And when a little bit more came out about SCLC and some of the other organizations, it became apparent that they were or could become, I won't say or could become, but they were in the fringe of the violent or the communist guidance of taking over. So that was the basis of our investigations.
Their organization.
Now, there's been a lot of criticism, I guess, speculation, maybe. I think it's been clarified enough, but the media is still not admitting to this, that the investigation of King was not directed at King himself, but as being a target for the communist element in this country to utilize him as a target for their program. That was the reason for the investigation of King. During the investigation, I will admit that there was plenty of other activities that King was involved in that was never made a record of, never a written record, but of his degenerative sexual activities.
Because you felt that it wasn't relative to the communist.
You would pick that up in some of the conversations. When a conversation would begin on a telephone line, you would listen to it.
Right.
In particular, you would listen to the details of any conversation between him and or the people within SCLC that he was involved with. Conversations between those people and certain targeted known communists. And we would keep detailed records of that.
That's what you were looking for, but what you got was a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah. But it wasn't used on any way. There's not even a record of it anymore.
But knowing that, it makes it hard to see him put up as a role model, or
he was a sicko. He was a sick guy.
He was into sexual.
You
said degeneracy.
Yeah.
Before it became, before we had pornography and all of this stuff that kids can access and seems to be. But this is back when the country was pretty straight.
Yeah.
As far as sexual things go.
Yeah.
But he was not on that side.
Yeah. No, it's.
Well, I think you agents, your professionalism was tested, probably.
Yeah, it was. And that's why I say I'm kind of proud to have been part of it. I haven't really talked that much about the details of all this as I have just right now. But it's always been a concern of mine. As far as the phone tap on King and SCLC goes, we had that phone tap because it was ordered by none other than Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy. And, of course, all the Kennedy friends say, our people would not do that. Well, he did. And he may have regretted it, but so be it.
As things turned out that Kennedy was assassinated, King was assassinated, they both get put up on pedestals.
Yeah.
Neither one of which do they really deserve it. It's sort of human nature to over respond, and that's what's happened with them. And all you guys were doing was doing your job.
Yeah. Doing what we were told to do.
To protect the country.
Yeah.
And
it was a good reason.
Yeah, and you said you only wrote up the things that applied directly to the written orders, I guess you might say. So you guys have very strong friendships. I know my dad always loved meeting any of your FBI friends because it seemed like you were brothers.
Yeah.
The way you and Bill and Bob loved to see each other.
Yeah.
Daddy always felt that you were that way with the other agents.
We were. And we still are. The ones of us are left.
Well, you're lucky.
Gosh, you know, I've been out of the Bureau now for 31, 32 years.
Just think of that.
God. I was only in for 25.
Could you have stayed longer?
Yeah, I could have. Mm-hmm.
So you were about 50?
50 when I became eligible, but at that time, 50, I think 55 was a mandatory retirement age. Might have been 57, I'm not sure. But that's a little too late to start in any kind of a second endeavor, which is, then I went into PI work and stayed in that for 13 years.
Well, back to the Atlanta. What was it like in Atlanta following the King assassination? Because Bobby Kennedy was assassinated the same
right about
frame.
Almost. It didn't, looking back on it, it didn't have the serious effect that you would think it would have. There was a lot more violence in other cities after King's assassination than there was in Atlanta.
I bet you were prepared for
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. We were sitting on pins and needles, and keeping in constant contact with local law enforcement, and trading information about contiguous plans. That if this happens, we can do this, do that, and we were all involved in it, even though the responsibility, again, would be the primary responsibility to the local police. But they did a great job.
They did?
They did a great job.
Well, that's good. You work very closely.
Yeah.
Police
Yeah.
departments.
Have a lot of good friends. Well, they're all gone now. I don't know where they are.